Hello, welcome to week 7, our Monday scheduled meeting. Oh, one person dropped. Okay. Okay. Well, sorry about starting late. Today, a little bit late today, I was busy with my other online class, so I didn't notice the time. Okay. Go ahead and unmute if you have a question, but I've just muted everyone. To minimize the background noise. I'm lucky that I found a quieter place to host our meeting today. So let me go to our module that I just put up 2 hours ago. No, actually 1 hour ago. So we have week 7, which is not heavy, but is not light either. So we begin with the required readings as always for our module. And we have a PDF on symbol. Okay, so take a look at that. And we have finished the fiction portion. Actually, we're still straggling behind, but we're finishing up with the fiction. Now we're going to move towards the poetry. And we start by chapter 13, reading a poem. We're going to look at voice and symbol in terms of poetry. We're looking at 3 different poems. Goethe's My Papa's Waltz, Wordsworth, I Wander Lonely as a Cloud, and William Carlos Williams, The Red Wheelbarrow. Now, if you do a quick search, you can find them online, but you should go with the version in your textbook because they are annotated, and sometimes you will find useful information like a footnote or something from your textbook. Okay. Now, when ready, take the quizzes. These are due on Friday. Again, they are meant to help you comprehend the chapter or the chapters. You're given 3 chances to do the quizzes. So enjoy. Next, we have a TED video that I thought is highly relevant for our class. So go ahead and watch this. What makes a poem a poem? Melissa Kovacs tells us more about that. We also have another video to watch, Why People Need Poetry. Okay. This TED Talk is highly relevant for not only literature, but also for our society as a whole. Poetry and the arts are intricately tied, related to how we can persevere as a species. Okay, then we have our discussions forum for week 7. The tasks are dedicated to each of the poems assigned, and the first one is on My Papa's Waltz, and this is an option for your poetry essay. So I believe it is, so you should probably read it carefully. With poems, you need to read it at least 3 times or more because they're condensed and short by nature. The first time you read a poem that you don't know anything about, you're gonna get frustrated. But don't be. Just go back and reread it, and if you still don't get it, do it a 3rd time. If not, use the internet to help you out. But really, you need to read the poems for yourself and not let other people tell you what it means. Because most poems, the reading of the poems are subjective by nature. So we have a bunch of questions, but you have the option to select one of them to write a response to, and then you post that response here under My Papa's Wall. So you can analyze the walls and what it symbolizes. You can compare and contrast the father's injuries with the boys. You can examine the poem's tone and style. You can look at synecdoche and describe the mother, or you can answer the question why the poem's speaker hang on to his father like death. This simile here, what effect does it have, and what layers of meaning does it carry at the end of the poem? Okay. So that's My Papa's Waltz. And then you go to Wordsworth's I Wonder Lonely as a Cloud, which is musical. It is considered a lyrical poem, and we are dealing with its musical devices that I've listed here. So read it aloud for yourself first, then like normally would read anything, you would read anything aloud, then you would listen to the audio performance here on YouTube. Note in the musical devices, and then write a short paragraph, compare and contrast your own read aloud with the YouTube read aloud. What do you notice? And then also make some comments on the musical devices presented in the poem. So if you don't know what they are, you probably should go back to week 4. At the end of week 4, there's a thing called literary devices, or you can just simply Google search literary devices and focus on each one of those, like consonants, assonance, repetition, rhyme. The chapter on reading a poem and voice are helpful in terms of telling you what these terms mean. Okay. Then you would go to the third task here on The Red Wheelbarrow, which is a really short poem. Okay. There, follow these steps. Try your best. Okay. Now, look at it first. It's so interesting. Let me look at it with you. I probably mistyped it or something. Okay, just 1 second. Internet is slow right now. It's only 3 lines long, I believe. And it's really short, very condensed. The internet is not working for me right now. Oh my gosh. Anyways, you know what I'm talking about as you look at the poem later on your end. But it's not working, so let's try another browser. Look how long it is. I mean, how short it is. Okay. So much depends upon a red wheelbarrow glazed with rainwater beside the white chickens. Okay, so it is one of the canonical poems of American poetry, American modern poetry. So it's full of meanings. It's just that we don't see it at first glance. So you probably might go back and read it more slowly and consider each word, even the title, and consider how it looks, consider how it sounds, okay? So that you can then try your best work, do your best on the following. Every 2-line stanza uses the same distinctive line break pattern, as in red wheel, and then there's a break in barrel, and then rain and water, what is the effect of this repetitive formal device? So, Njambin is something that you can also Google on. It is a literary device. What effects does it have? Okay, where's my poem again? Okay, so it seems to be flowing, one line flow into the next, flow into the next, flow into the next. So I think it mimics the flowing pattern of the rain. Like, how you have a rain, how you have a wheelbarrow, and then if rainwaters drop on it, it flows over, create this beautiful effect. So that could be it, but I'm not sure what you think about that. So then put your best guess on this question, and then answer the next one. If you have to imagine the speaker, the persona of the single sentence that is broken into stanzas to make this poem. Oh, by the way, this is called a stanza. Okay, so this is one stanza, two stanza, three stanzas, four. So this poem has 4 stanzas. We don't call them paragraphs, we call them stanzas. But stanzas are just paragraphs, 4 verses. So if you had to imagine the persona, the speaker of this single sentence, what would be the most plausible identity? Who is the speaker of this poem? Is it a businessman, an oral painter, a farmer, a philosopher? Okay. So who might be speaking this sentence, this poem? Okay. What term best describes the form and structure of this poem? Is it a haiku, a free verse, a rhyming couplets, concrete poetry, sonnet, terza rima? So you might want to maybe read up on that a little bit. Another formal aspect of this poem is the stanza pattern of a 3-word line followed by a 1-word line. What kind of metrical foot? And there's a link to explain the metrical foot, and let's look at it. It is a unit of measurement for a poem. Okay, it's meter for a poem, and the I am meter is 2-syllable, and it goes da 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 da, and anapest is like this, okay, da da dum da da dum, and choki is the opposite of I am, dactyl is the opposite of anapest. And then we have what is called spondee, which this one doesn't address, but spondee is simply a 2-syllable stress that both syllables are stressed equally. Okay, so that's spondee. Anyway, so going back, you're gonna have to go and look at the poem again. So upon, barrel. Which syllable does the stress fall on? Water. So it seems to me like it's the first stress, right? Water, barrel, upon, chicken. So what magical food is that? Probably the choki, right? It's dumda. So water, chicken, right? So then it would be the choki magical foot. Okay. So the 5th question asks you, what literary devices can you find in this poem? Obviously, the red wheelbarrow is a metaphor for something. Okay. So that you can comment on the wheelbarrow as a metaphor for something. Okay. Any questions so far about the 3 poems? Especially the red wheelbarrow. It's super difficult to understand it. But it's very important because we are learning about metrical foot. We're learning about the stanzas and enjambment, speaker, all of these terms that you might be unfamiliar with, that you will become more comfortable after reading chapter 13, reading a poem. And also chapter on voices. and then symbol. So 3 chapters we're looking at this week, accompanied by 3 quizzes, and then these 2 videos, and then the discussions. I wouldn't jump right into the discussions forum immediately. If I were you, I would review the previous items first in this module. Okay? Otherwise, you're going to be lost. And I know that some of you have the tendency to click and go directly to your to-do list after you log on to your Canvas and you see the to-do list and you click on those, and then you're lost because you don't have the background preparation that are laid out for you in a week's module. So follow the module instead of clicking on your to-do item. The 4th task is on the movie Inside Out. Okay, so let's look at Inside Out, see if the link works. I am committing privacy, but it's here for you. The movie's here for you, and my students assured me that in the past that it's okay for me to do this. Although I haven't received any formal complaint, but if this is an issue for you, you can always rent the movie or buy it and watch it. Okay? I don't have any other means to provide the movie for you, so I'm leaving it here as an option. I'm sure it is on Netflix if you have Netflix, and so you can watch it there and not have to worry about the moral dilemma. The extended metaphor is a literary device. It is a metaphor, but it is extended out. And the chapter on symbol talks about it. So we're watching it here and then answering the question, how does this movie exemplify the extended metaphor? How does it show, how does it use extended metaphor to the utmost? Okay. If you watch Inside Out, you know that the characters in this movie represent our emotions. Okay? Sad, jealousy, rage, whatever. And each one of those emotions is symbolized and represented by the characters, by a character in the movie. Okay? Question so far? Any questions so far? Okay. If no question, I assume that we're all good. Then we go to the last task here, adaptation on the poems. So I'm always interested in what you can dig up in terms of how people adapt various literary works. Okay, so for example, Romeo and Juliet is adapted over and over and over again. Okay, Teresa asks, when will the assignments be graded? I thought I have graded everything last week, but let me see. Which assignment are you referring to? Oh, you mean the fiction essay? I haven't touched the fiction essay yet, but I thought I graded everything else before that. Okay, if you're talking about the fiction essay, I'll try to get it done tomorrow. Midterm grades. Oh, you mean the midterm that was due yesterday, right? The midterm number 1. So it was due yesterday. I probably will have them graded by the end of this week. The midterm by Friday. But for the fiction essay, because it was due the week before, and it's quite late now. I mean, I haven't touched it. It's been a week, so I'll try to get them done by tomorrow. So any adaptation on any of our 3 poems would be great. If you cannot find any, then maybe you can go to the line. Sometimes a poem's line can become very famous, you know, and they get the line gets repeated in modern modern songs, like the lyrics of some of the songs that we hear nowadays might be an adaptation of a famous poetry line, a poems line, like "Hung on Like Death" from My Papa's Waltz. That's really famous. Okay, so try to look for those tiny things which matter a lot in the long run, because we thrive on adapting from classic work, literary work. Okay, that would be the discussions forum. Then we have the final draft for the swimmer. This week is peculiar because we have a lot of responses. We have number 3 on the swimmer with the final draft, and then we have the pre-write and outline for number 4 on the story of an hour. Okay, so submit your pre-write and outline here. Then we are also working on the final draft for the story of an hour, number 4, final draft here. So submit your final draft here. Okay. Then we have, we are done with week 7. Okay, that's week 8. So to sum up, we have the final draft, response number 3, and then we have number 4, response on the story of an hour. Those are the written response. There's no essay due, but we have discussions forum that's worth 50 points. And then the quizzes, each worth 10 points. The week's assignment will be due next week. It will be part of week 8, which is our week midterm. As you can see here, I haven't published it, but I've planned for it to be part of next week. But you should be posting your polished drafts on your weeks. For example, once I've graded the fiction essay and given you some feedback, then you might want to go back and incorporate some changes according to the feedback to your fiction essay, and then post your fiction essay up there. In the past, many of my students just went ahead and posted their fiction essay final draft without incorporating my feedback, and I accepted it, right? So I'm gonna do the same thing with you guys. Is if you are impatient because it was my fault to not get it done early enough, so you go ahead and post your fiction essay, and it will be okay. I will not penalize you for that. But ideally, your Wix is a public space. That means anybody with your URL, your Wix URL, can visit it. So we want to put our best foot or best feet forward so that others can, stay off their criticism on our work. So free of errors would be ideal for Wix. Otherwise, just go ahead and post your final drafts or whatever you like that you've done for this class. That includes all the responses, your discussion forums, your diagnostic essay, your midterm number 1, your fiction final draft. Okay, those things you can post already on your Wix. You don't have to post your quiz, so please don't post your quizzes. But the discussion forum responses you've done, those are wonderful. So you should share those. Okay, the responses definitely, but organize your Wix in such a way that it makes sense to any visitor, not just me. Okay. So next week I'll discuss more on that. Do you have a specific question on Wix, like how to do it? Do you have a how-to question for Wix? If yes, be sure that you let me know so that when we meet again next week, I can log on to Wix and then guide you hands-on through it. For example, if you don't know how to post an assignment, you should let me know and not suffer in silence. Wix is rather intuitive, but it could be confusing if you don't know how to navigate it, how to design it. Okay. What questions do you have for week 7? Let me share with you one last thing before we end this meeting. I know that there might be some professor who are against this, but I'm not one of them. So I actually advocate. Okay, let me address that question in a little bit. But you know how people don't like you to use Smoop or SparkNotes, right? I don't care if you do. It's just that be sure that you have your own thinking as well, and not just blindly follow what these companies put on their website in terms of literary work, literature. They have a lot of information on my papa's walls, on any of the three poems that we have today, this week. So if you just Google Smoop and then the title of the poem, you will find tons of information on them. And I wouldn't do that because then doing that would just kill off your own interpretation of the poem. And the true joy and the true value of reading a poem, as you will realize after watching these 2 videos, is your own interpretation, making meaning for yourself. Okay, not rely on other people making meaning for you. Oh, you use those sites only when you have absolutely no idea, right? For example, if you look at the Red Wheelbarrow, and then you read it, you keep reading it, you keep reading it, you kept staring at it, and it makes no freaking sense. Then perhaps it would behoove you to just look at Smoop and what it says about the Red Wheelbarrow. Okay. Now let me go to address Damon's question. So Wix.com and login. Oh wow, it's taking forever. Okay, it's the internet. Let me go to this browser, see if I could do this here. For some reason, this school doesn't allow me to use Google via its Wi-Fi system. It's terrible, but let's see. Sign in. Okay, ask me this question again next week, seeing that we will dedicate next week for the most part on Wix, because as it appears, as it shows here, and you know that I'm not getting any responses using the Wi-Fi system at this school, which is West Valley College. I'm at West Valley College right now. So for some reason, I can't get a good signal going using Wix or Chrome or whatever. Safari is a little bit better, but as you could see earlier, I was trying to find something using Google search, and it kept stalling. And so remember to ask me that question again later next week, okay, Damon? Or maybe you can join me back again on tomorrow, or on Thursday, tomorrow, or Friday. And so I'll be elsewhere, and we can look at it together. Sorry about that. So let me do attendance. Oh, Teresa, did you want me to look at your midterm essay now, since you're here, and tell you whether you did okay? You want me to do that, or would you rather wait? Okay, sure then. check back later. I should have them, the midterm essays graded by Friday. So Zoha, where is Teresa? Oh, there she is. Okay, thank you for joining me today. I hope you're clear as what to do. And thanks for your patience with the fiction essay. I'll get them graded by tomorrow, okay? I'll see you guys later and enjoy your day.